In Judges chapter 6, the Israelites are at it again. It says in verse 1 that the sons of Israel did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord gave them into the hands of Midian for 7 years. Now when it talks about the Israelites doing evil in the sight of the Lord, what it's talking about is the Israelites had turned to idolatry, thus breaking the covenant between them and God. And so what God allowed was for the Midianites to come into the land and pretty much do whatever they wanted. They began pillaging the land. They were taking anything they wanted as far as crops and possessions and cattle and things of that nature, and they were just setting up shop wherever they wanted. And it says that the Israelites were brought low by this. And so they cried out to the Lord, and the Lord sent them a prophet. And the prophet tells them, hey, your issue is not the Midianites. Your issue is yourself. You have done this. You have broken the covenant between yourself and God by bringing idolatry into the land. Around that same time, the angel of the Lord appeared to a man named Gideon. Now Gideon was hiding down in a hole from the Midianites, threshing some wheat. And so the angel of the Lord came up to him and started having a conversation with him. And we find the conversation in Judges chapter 6, verses 14 through 16. And it says, "And the Lord looked at him and said, 'Go in this your strength, and deliver Israel from the hand of Midian. Have I not sent you?' And he said to him, 'O Lord, how shall I deliver Israel? Behold, my family is the least in Manasseh, and I am the youngest in my father's house.' But the Lord said to him, 'Surely I will be with you, and you shall defeat the Midian as one man.'" So what Gideon proceeded to do after that is he began rounding up troops. He tore down the altar to Baal, and he built an altar to God and made a sacrifice. And there was a large number of soldiers that showed up to go to war against Midian. And God had a series of tests for these men, and through these tests he dwindled the numbers all the way down to just 300 men that would be going up against the Midianites, who numbered over 100,000. And it says that God did this because he didn't want the Israelites boasting in the things that they had done, but rather boasting in what God had done through them. So they were successful in driving Midian out of the land, and there was peace in Israel for over 40 years while Gideon was alive. Now, whenever I read this, I immediately thought of 1 Corinthians chapter 1, where it says in verse 27, "Brothers and sisters, think of what you were when you were called. Not many of you were wise by human standards. Not many were influential. Not many were of noble birth. But God chose the foolish things of this world to shame the wise. And God chose the weak things of this world to shame the strong. God chose the lowly things and the things of this world and the despised things and the things that are not to nullify the things that are, so that no one may boast before him." You know, you might be like Gideon. You might be down in a hole, hiding from the Midianites, threshing your wheat, where you're thinking that you're just a lowly individual who can't do anything. There are people way more qualified than you to do the work of God. But God uses people like that, people like Gideon. And what it takes is the willingness to climb out of the hole and get to work, and to be bold and fearless and ready to do the work of God. Now, your Midian is not a physical kingdom that has moved into your land. In Ephesians 6, in verse 12, it says, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of the dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realm." And then it proceeds to tell us to put on the full armor of God and to get ready to go to war. against the sin of this world and the evil of this world. So our battle is not against things of this earth, physical kingdoms and physical armies, but against a spiritual realm. And we need to be ready, and we need to be willing to climb out of the hole and get to work.